Throwing a Tree by Thomas Hardy. Now, about the poet Thomas Hardy, he was an English novelist and a poet. He belonged to the Victorian era, and Romanticism influenced him. When I say Romanticism, it is about nature, about trees, about beauty, and everything. And even the poetry of William Wordsworth also influenced him. Now we can see about this poem, Throwing a Tree. We can see this poem in detail. Now by this time I assume that you might have gone through this poem. You can see, like, this poem is divided into 4 stanzas. Here you can see the first stanza itself. It is talking about 2 executioners. In the poem, the poet has not revealed that the executioners, they are the woodcutters also. So that walking into the forest with the instruments like axes, and he is describing the axes, like how is it, like it is with heavy heads, it is shining and it is wide. And then about the saw is a kind of instrument for cutting things, big things, like heavy things like trees and everything. And they approach this tree, a proud tree. Tree is given the adjective like proud, and it is bearing the death mark in the sense like tree is personified throughout this poem. Tree is personified here, and tree is bearing the death mark in the sense like it is a chance of that tree is marked to be dead. Okay, now that means here it means that these two executioners are woodcutters, and they are walking towards the tree to cut it with the instruments like axe and saw. And here you can see the use of metaphor. Why? Because when the poet uses 2 executioners, or when these 2 executioners are compared with that of woodcutter, without this use of like or as, we can call it as a metaphor. Now in the second stanza, he describes how they are cutting the tree. Okay, like here he says, jackets doffed, they swing axes and chop away just above ground. That means they remove the jackets and then they just try to started cutting the tree just above the ground. And chips here in the sense like that small wooden particles, it started flying, and then it was fallen on the ground, and then the bark of the tree is also removed. And then how they try to, because it is such a big tree, because of that itself they need a rope. And he says like there are 2 executioners, 2 woodcutters. One of them, what he tried to tie a rope, try to hook upwards a rope, which at last he achieves. It is with much difficulty that he tried to hook upwards a rope. And then in the next stanza, here he describes about the tree, like what is the condition of the tree when they started cutting it. Like the machine started, so begins, and the tree started shivering, because it is very heavy, such a big tree, it's a giant tree. That's what the poet describes, and it started shivering. Now with each cut, it started shivering more. Now towards, and finally what happens, they edge out the sword, tug the rope, but the tree only quivers. Okay, here it describes like with each tug of the rope, means they were pulling that tree, and with that they were using that machines also, but the tree was just shivering. Quiver means shivering only. And kneeling and sewing again, so they are also like they are also having that much hard work. With much hard work they try to pull that tree down. That is the purpose of that rope also, in order to bring it down towards the direction that they desire. For that only they use this rope. And then lastly the living mass sways, here in the sense like this tree, it started moving, and with a shout, Job and Ike rush aside. Why they rush? Here only the last stanza, the poet is giving introducing the woodcutters, not introducing, giving the names of the woodcutters. They rushed aside because they never wanted to hurt themselves. Now reads why he might have given the names at the end, because the names of the woodcutters is not important, but the tree is cut, that is important here. reach the end of its long staying powers. The tree crashes downward. It shakes all its neighbors throughout. Okay, so that was the influence of the tree. When it had fallen down, it even shook all the neighbors near to it. And 200 years steady growth has been entered in less than 2 hours. So the old of the tree was 200 years old, and they cut that tree within 2 hours. So you can see there are many figure of speech here. As I said, metaphor which is used in the first stanza, and you can see alliteration also when it says you know the tree the two words that are used, not alliteration, sorry, personification is used here. Why? Because when it is describing, when it is giving human attributes to a non-human thing, like the shivering of the tree quivers, the shivers are seen. So in that stanza you can see each and everything about the tree, it is personified. Even in the first stanza also you can see axe is also personified here. So it's also and a long-lived two-handled sword, toothed for cutting great boards. Here also so is also personified. So you can see the personification in the description of axes, in the description of saw, in the description of the tree also.